Hello, good morning. How are you doing? I am so glad you're here. Today we are going to be reading Walt Disney Productions presents The Mice and the Circus. Look at these little mice all dressed up. Inside the tallest tower of Cinderella's castle lived a family of mice. The mice stayed busy and happy, but the mouse children sometimes wished that something exciting would happen. They thought it was exciting when Cinderella and the prince gave a big party or a fancy ball, but there had not been a party in a long time. One day, while the mice were cleaning house, exciting news came at last. I wish I had some mice that would clean my house. Miss Bluebird, who always knew the latest news, flew in the window. "Guess what?" she chirped. "Timothy Mouse's circus is coming to town." The real name of the show was Dumbo's Flying Circus. But Miss Bluebird knew that the mouse family thought of it as Timothy Mouse's circus. Grandma Mouse had often told the mouse children the story of how Timothy taught Dumbo the elephant to fly. The mouse children ran to tell Grandma about the circus. "Please, may we go?" they begged her. "Yes, indeed," said Grandma Mouse. "We will all go to the circus." The next day the mice rolled out the wind-up car to make sure it worked, but they could not start it. They pushed and shoved. The car still would not start. How would they get to the circus without their car? Just then, Miss Bluebird stopped by again. "Please, Miss Bluebird," said Father Mouse, "would you go to Timothy Mouse and ask him to help us get to the circus?" Miss Bluebird agreed. The mice stood at the window and watched Miss Bluebird fly off. She finally reached the circus grounds. There were 2 tents and lots of colorful circus wagons. Miss Bluebird did not know where to look for Timothy Mouse. There's a lot going on at a circus, huh? It'd be hard to find one little mouse. Miss Bluebird asked a tall man if he had seen Timothy Mouse. Then she asked the midget. She asked the trained penguin and the clown, but none of them knew where Timothy Mouse was. Then the circus people took Miss Bluebird to see Dumbo. If anybody knew where Timothy Mouse was, Dumbo would know. Dumbo and Timothy were very good friends, but Dumbo was sound asleep. "Maybe we can find Timothy without waking Dumbo," said the clown. In a loud whisper, the circus people said, "1, 2, 3, cheese!" Dumbo did not wake up, but his hat began to wiggle. Who should crawl out from under it but Timothy Mouse? "Cheese?" he asked. "Cheese?" "I am sorry, but there is no cheese," said Miss Bluebird. "We were just trying to find you. I need your help." She told Timothy about the mice in Cinderella's castle, who could not get to the circus. "I'll find a way," said Timothy. "Tell them I will come for them tomorrow." Miss Bluebird thanked Timothy and flew back to the castle. Miss Bluebird told the mice they would go to the circus the very next day. The mice clapped their paws and jumped up and down. The next day, the mice put on their best clothes. Grandma Mouse wore her finest hat, Mother Mouse powdered her nose, and at last everyone was ready to go to the circus. Grandpa Mouse looked at his watch. It was time to leave. But where was Timothy? The young mice climbed up to the window to watch for him. Suddenly, they saw a dark speck in the sky. "Here comes Timothy," they cried. But it was not Timothy. It was only a kite flying in the wind. See that little... It was only somebody flying a kite. The mouse children kept looking for Timothy. Soon they saw another dark shape in the distance. "There he is," they said. But again, it was not Timothy. It was a big scary owl instead. Whoo! The mouse children felt very sad. They thought Timothy Mouse was not coming after all. They thought he had forgotten them. Suddenly, a big gray shape came flapping around the corner. It was Dumbo, and Timothy Mouse was in his hat. "Step right up, ladies and gentlemen," Timothy called out. Dumbo stretched out his trunk. The mouse family scrambled on aboard. "Seats in the rear," cried Timothy. The mice climbed into the square tent on Dumbo's back. Up the elephant's trunk and into the tent on Dumbo's back. Dumbo flapped his big ears and flew high into the sky. He flew very fast. He flew faster than the steam engine puffing along below them. The circus was just ahead. "Next stop, the big top," Timothy shouted. One of the mouse children leaned out too far when Dumbo swooped down toward the big tent. Father Mouse caught him by the tail and pulled him back in. Whoosh! Dumbo flew right through the entrance in the big tent. The mice held on for dear life. Dumbo flew up to the top of a tall pole. All the way to the top. Dumbo stopped at a platform on top of the pole. "All out for the circus," said Timothy. "Best seats in the house." The mouse family hurried down Dumbo's trunk. The mice loved the circus show. They watched the trapeze artists, the clowns, and the bareback riders. See this big swing with the handlebar? That's called a trapeze. And people swing on them and do all kinds of really cool tricks. "And now," shouted the ringmaster, "I have the great pleasure of presenting to you the star of our show, the one, the only, Dumbo the Flying Elephant." From his platform high above the ground, Dumbo leaped into the air. Timothy was tucked into the rim of Dumbo's hat. Dumbo was wonderful. He zoomed high. He swooped low. He balanced Timothy on his trunk. Before he landed, he even flew backwards. When Dumbo finished his act, the crowd clapped and clapped. The mouse family cheered, "Hooray for Dumbo! Hooray for Timothy!" After the show, Dumbo and Timothy flew up to the platform where the mice were sitting. It was time for the mice to go home. They told Dumbo and Timothy how much they liked the show. Dumbo flew them home in the moonlight, back to Cinderella's castle and their tower in the sky. Would you guys fly on the back of a flying elephant in the moonlight? Boy, I sure would. That would be cool. The mouse children were very tired when they finally got home. They climbed into bed right away. "I think you have had enough excitement, for one day at least," said Grandma Mouse. "Yes, yes, we have," said the little mice. They fell asleep without another word. The end.